OK, Ed, thank you very much indeed for that. And as I say, we will bring you those words from Jeremy Corbyn you saw being recorded outside the Labour Party headquarters as soon as we get them. But I now want to change to the important issue of the environment, because scientists say the global temperatures will reach record highs in the next few years because of a natural warming of the Pacific Ocean. That's known, you may be familiar with the term, the El Nino effect, combining with the impact of greenhouse gases. But it won't be felt evenly across the planet, as Northern Europe actually looks set for several years of cooler summers. Well, Dr. Paul Williams is a climate scientist and he joins me from Reading now. And does that, a very good afternoon to you, Dr. Williams. I mean, does that just about sum it up? And if so, a lot of people in the UK are going to be very confused.
Yes, Dermot. I think what this tells us is that the climate is a very complicated system with lots of competing factors taking place, not just the global warming, which is happening on very long time scales, decades, driven by our CO2 emissions, but also superimposed on that are these natural climate cycles which have been happening for longer than we started to change the climate. And that means that the global average temperature is not necessarily a very robust indicator of the regional changes and the things that we might feel right here locally in the UK.
OK, so which is driving this? And it's only a prediction. I wouldn't even say that, would it? It's a kind of guesstimate for the UK's weather, that we might actually have rather colder, damper summers. And, you know, you heard it this summer, I'm sure, as I did. I've probably said it myself. Whatever happened to global warming?
Many of us have said that from one time to another. It's important to distinguish between the global mean temperature and the temperature outside your window today. I mean, one of those is climate and the other is weather, and one of those is global and the other is local. But I think these predictions look pretty good to me. It's a good team of authors, and they've been analysing recent surface temperature changes and made a prediction. You mentioned this El Nino, which has its centre of activity in the Pacific. We know that those sea surface temperatures are currently, from satellite observations, they're 1.5 degrees Celsius warmer than they normally would be, and the computer models are suggesting that they'll get 2 to 3 degrees warmer in the coming months. So this is going to affect things like drought in California, which might be removed by some significant rainfall. That's what tends to happen when El Nino happens. And we're looking, if the predictions are right, at what could be the strongest El Nino event since the 1950s. So really something big on its way, potentially, stored up there in the climate system.
And what about this almost doomsday question about the contribution, the exacerbating effects of greenhouse gases, as you touched on there, Dr. Williams? I mean, could it be? There are some I've heard saying that, well, you know, it actually might be too late. There's, you know, even if we all went back to the Stone Age now, there's so much already in the atmosphere. The global warming effect keeps going.
It does keep going, and although some people have pointed to an apparent pause or a slowdown, sometimes it's called a hiatus in global warming since about the year 2000. Well, that is true for surface temperatures, but if you look elsewhere in the climate system, the sea ice has continued to decline. The sea levels continue to rise. We know that the amount of heat being stored in the ocean has continued to go up. So the global warming is very much still going on. In terms of whether it's too late, we know as scientists that it's CO2 in the atmosphere that we're putting in there by burning fossil fuels to generate our energy. That's what's driving the increase. And it's certainly true that if we cut down on the CO2, and this is something for policymakers, not scientists like me, to decide on, then we will see a reduction in the long-term global warming. It won't put a stop to the cyclic variations in El Nino, which have happened for a long time and will continue to happen for a long time.
Well, Dr. Williams, thank you very much indeed for explaining these very complex issues so succinctly in such a relatively short space of time. Good to talk to you, Dr. Paul Williams there. Now we want to take you to the Australian capital, Canberra, in New South Wales, where the Prime Minister, Tony Abbott, has just lost a leadership ballot. He's been replaced by Malcolm Turnbull.
Thank you,